Versatile Mage. Chapter 156. Awaken, Spirit Wolf. You want to use a pincer attack. Luo Song looked at the two summoner students with ridicule in his eyes. Mo Fan's two summoner classmates were really naive. They thought that intermediate ice magic could only deal with one of them, so the other could take advantage of the opportunity. The fact was, Luo Song had no need to use intermediate magic. The primary spell, Ice Spread, first covered Luo Song's surroundings. The intensity of Ice Spread was enough to greatly reduce the speed of the two beasts. Following this move, Luo Song used Earth Ripple to move himself to a safer position. When he found a good spot, he once again used the formidable and terrifying Ice Lock. Ice Lock was clearly not a single target spell. The thick shackles forcefully locked the two summoned beasts down and quickly turned them into ice blocks. Luo Song dealt with the two beasts without expending much effort. There's only one more summoner student left. I never thought there'd be an intermediate magician in this competition. Yeah, the last summoner is just cannon fodder. He's no match for Luo Song. We also wanted to demonstrate our skills, but who would have thought all the attention would be stolen by him? After Luo Song had finished off the three summoner students, all of the gazes in the audience were focused on the last one remaining, Mo Fan. Mo Fan wasn't stupid. He could clearly see that this fatty Luo wanted to make trouble for him. Luo Song didn't linger and immediately walked off the arena. He had already achieved his goal. Furthermore, he had complied with Dean Xiao's order not to provoke Mo Fan, who was also at intermediate level. After Luo Song left, everyone was confused. He should have been able to easily sweep the stage of all 7 summoners with his intermediate strength. So why didn't he just deal with the last one too? Or did this guy think the whole thing was boring, and intentionally left the last one for the primary magicians to play with? Good, there's still one left. We still have an opportunity to display our skills. With the Bone Corpse demon gone, we won't have anything to be afraid of. Let's go. Li Junwei stood up, his eyes intentionally glancing at Qin Xiaomian to the side. The main character today was definitely Luo Song, who had displayed the power of an intermediate magician. However, the rest of them couldn't just be swept away by the brilliance of intermediate magic. It was their turn to make a move. You guys want to challenge him? Qin Xiaomian was slightly flabbergasted as she looked at the young men who always surrounded her. Is it inappropriate? Li Junwei asked. No, good luck. Qin Xiaomian replied, not feeling in a position to stop them. Luo Junwei brought his squad along and walked down to the arena of the beast battle competition. At the entrance, there were already people from other elements waiting. They had the same thought as Li Junwei. Intermediate was intermediate. Although Luo Song's cultivation speed was indeed astonishing, it didn't mean that everyone else should just sit around and do nothing. Breaking through to the next level was hard to understand. Perhaps they would be able to touch upon the doors of the intermediate level through this battle. All of the people who came to Pearl Institute had the intention of attacking the intermediate level. This Luo Song is indeed tactful. However, Mo Fan, it is clear that you are trying to cause trouble for me, Luo Yunming coldly hummed. It was clear that Luo Song came to disrupt the summoning element. Jiang Yunming also knew of the events that happened between Mo Fan and Luo Song during their tests. I know, but my summoned beast, Mo Fan shrugged. There was nothing he could do, especially when his summoned beast was still hibernating. Today, he was no different from a waste. Luo Song's efforts were meaningless. It woke up. Mo Fan had attempted to communicate with his spirit wolf without much hope. Who would have thought that the spirit wolf had already woken up? Furthermore, it looked relatively energetic. I really don't want to give in. Hai Dafu clenched his teeth. The other summoners were gloomy as well. Originally, their summoned beasts were supposed to be the main stars of the beast battle competition, displaying their superior strength as much as they wanted. But who would have thought an intermediate magician would take care of 3 of them in one go? This turned all of the summoners into side characters in an instant. It didn't matter anymore, They weren't able to complete the demands set by the teachers and school. The distributed resources would all be sent to the Earth School which Luo Song belonged to. The resources of Pearl Institute were quite significant. Otherwise, nobles wouldn't desperately contest for them. The summoning element's resources for half a year would essentially be given away. They were extremely unreconciled. Teacher, how about? At this time, Zheng Bingxiao looked at Jiang Yunming, but was stopped mid-sentence. Jiang Yunming shook his head. The students who have left the stage can no longer go back. Mo Fan, are you able to summon your beast? If not, then this will be it for today. So what if he can do it? Wang Liting exclaimed, eyes red. Teacher, could we ask the school to be lenient? My family spent a large amount of money to summon a good beast. If the school doesn't give us some resources, then I'm afraid most of us won't be able to reach the intermediate level. It's impossible for them to be lenient. If you want to obtain resources, then you have to rely on yourself. Alright, let's go back everyone, this will be it for today. Although you were completely annihilated by an intermediate magician, I am thoroughly satisfied with your performances. The beast refinement blood will be given to Zheng Bingxiao. Jiang Yunming didn't speak too much about their feelings. He clearly understood both the positives and negatives. After hearing this, the summoner students all began to cry. There would be no resources from school, and they'd be losing a teacher as well. They wondered what they were going to do in the future. Mr. Jiang, it seems like my summoned beast has woken up. Mo Fan suddenly spoke up. Oh, then go ahead. If you perform well, the second beast refinement blood will be given to you. Jiang Yunming raised his eyebrow. I just happen to want the beast refinement blood, Mo Fan said. Alright, then go and take back some face for us in the summoning school, Jiang Yunming said. Mo Fan slowly walked onto the beast battle arena while communicating with his spirit wolf. Our objective today is to defeat 16 people, Mo Fan said to the spirit wolf. Zheng Bingxiao had won against 25, and Hai Dafu got rid of 15. Wang Liting was supposed to have the highest numbers, but he was completely annihilated by Luo Song after his sixth opponent. Thus, if Mo Fan wanted to obtain the beast refinement blood, he just had to surpass Hai Dafu's number. A woo! The spirit wolf let out a fearless and energetic howl in reply to Mo Fan. Hearing the vigorous howl, Mo Fan was astonished. Along with the spirit wolf's howl came a wild and savage aura. And this aura, it seemed like 16 people wouldn't be too hard. Chapter End. Versatile Mage. Chapter 157. Evolving Spirit Wolf, 1. Come, call your summoned beast. Li Junwei represented the team of challengers, his face filled with pride. As long as your summoned beast isn't a bone corpse demon, I will definitely let you have a taste of my abilities. This guy seems to be the only person we don't have any intel on. We don't know what kind of summoned beast he has. Mo Fan looked at the team of 5, who seemed prepared, his face displaying a lazy smile. Although he was also someone who enjoyed fighting, this was not the time for him. This was the time for the spirit wolf to display its prowess. Fight for me. The moonlight star path emerged in front of Mo Fan and turned into a space crack. A dimensional bridge summoned forth a creature from the unknown plane. From within the dimensional crack, a deep blue head stretched out. Soon after, a robust and mighty body stepped out. The fur-covered body fluttered within the space crack, following a bestial aura that pervaded the whole arena. The spirit wolf instantly became the focal point of the chamber. It's a spirit wolf. What a feral aura. This is like a completely different creature compared to the tiny spirit wolf from before. It feels like it's not easy to deal with that. I never thought the last summoner student's summoned beast would be a fully grown, robust spirit wolf. I'm not sure if Li Junwei and his team can contest that. Backstage, the 6 summoner students' mouths had dropped open, astonishment written all over their faces. It looks like it has gotten stronger since the last time, Jiang Yunming murmured to himself. They could hear the sound of the wind. A ferocious wind rolled around, the spirit wolf at its center. The dust turned into a golden wave as it washed out, sweeping across the colossal beast battle arena and blowing into the faces of the 5 challengers. For some reason, their legs began to shake. The man in the lead with a big head turned to look at his leader, Li Junwei. What's there to be afraid of? It's just a spirit wolf, not a bone corpse demon. Li Junwei cursed, dissatisfied. I just keep feeling this isn't your average spirit wolf. Feelings my ass, go kill it. The 5 people were clearly very coordinated. Facing Mo Fan's spirit wolf, they quickly got into formation. The wind users stood in front, water in the back, lightning and fire beside the earth user in the center. With all 5 elements in one team, wind, water, lightning, fire, and earth, they formed a well-coordinated lineup. Lightning users in the Pearl Institute were not rare, so forming a 5-element team wasn't too difficult. It was obvious that Li Junwei's team was prepared. If it hadn't been for Luo Song's appearance earlier, they would have attacked one of the summoned beasts themselves. Now, facing the very last summoner student, Mo Fan, they naturally would not keep waiting. Big head, restrict it. Remember, the spirit wolf's burst damage is strong, so you need to be quick when you use flash steps, or else it'll slice you in 2 once you reappear, Li Junwei instructed solemnly. Yeah, I'll just use wind trails, floating shadow. The big-headed guy in the front said. Pimples, just because the spirit wolf is far from us doesn't mean it can't attack. It has a breath attack. The girl with pimples on her face nodded quickly. Alright, let's start. How could a little spirit wolf possibly stop the 5 of us from becoming famous? Let's show those previously unorganized and useless people our coordinated battle strategy. Li Junwei's face broke into a great smile. Those who treated a battle as a simple 1vs1 could only be deemed unfit for true cooperation. At the primary level, most people only had a single spell, so they had to form teams. Being the chief of the classical elements, primary lightning spells were indeed powerful, but they definitely lacked the ability to deal with a magical beast alone. The water element had no offensive ability, but it possessed the only primary ranked protective spell, making it crucial to battle strategy. In Li Junwei's eyes, no element was trash, only those too stupid to cooperate. Mo Fan saw the opponent's formation and smiled. Interesting. The 5 people's battle experience was in no way inferior to the hunter squad he was once part of. Be careful, they should be very knowledgeable. Woo. Mo Fan didn't say another word. The spirit wolf let out a domineering howl. The warlike spirit wolf attacked without waiting for Mo Fan's command. The time it took to go from complete stillness to cheetah-like speed was only a second. This explosive power wasn't something even a one-eyed magic wolf could compare to. The spirit wolf charged violently. Its objective was the wind member standing at the very front of Li Junwei's team. Although the big-headed wind user seemed nervous, his steps were nimble. The 3rd level of wind trails created several wind tunnels around him, forming multiple high-speed passages that belonged solely to him. With them, he moved as lightly as a swallow. Floating shadow had a much greater range than flash steps. It made the magician seem like the wind itself, impossible to catch and impossible to pursue. The spirit wolf's first attack only caught an empty shadow. The big-headed guy had already floated 20 meters away by the time the wolf's claws struck. The sound of the wind echoed again. The spirit wolf quickly retracted its claws, sliding a short distance across the ground before springing back onto all 4s. In just a second, it had changed direction, once again charging ferociously at the wind magician. Second attack. Li Junwei's face revealed amazement. Normally, when the spirit wolf unleashed a full-strength strike, it would need a short recovery period, just like a person after a frantic sprint. However, this spirit wolf was different. It had regained its energy instantly and launched a second strike without losing speed. Pimples, protect him, quick, Li Junwei commanded. The spirit wolf's second strike was an enormous threat to the wind magician. After moving 20 meters away, he believed himself safe, but the wolf had already closed the distance. Numerous water droplets coalesced from nowhere, swiftly forming a protective barrier in front of the wind element student. Yet another howl of wind surged. The spirit wolf saw the water barrier forming and its eyes flashed with disdain. Its heavy claws ferociously slashed toward the wind magician once more. Chapter end. Versatile Mage. Chapter 158. Evolving Spirit Wolf, 2. Whoosh! The ferocious claws split open the shield formed by numerous water droplets. The sharp claws streaked right through the body of the wind element student. An incredible blood scar emerged on his chest. Oh! The wind student fell backwards, blood overflowing from his body and mixing with the dust as it flowed away. How could this be? The eyes of the pimple-faced girl went wide, filled with astonishment and fear. Her water barrier had clearly reached the 3rd level already. Why was it unable to defend against the spirit wolf's attack? She had been through numerous fights, and she had always been able to defend against all kinds of magical beast strikes. You were too slow. You should know how to protect in situations like this without me telling you. Li Junwei said darkly, scolding her. Indeed, the water element girl had cast too slowly. The spirit wolf's claw had already slashed through the wind student's body before the water barrier had fully formed. The barrier that appeared in time only absorbed the attack's residual force. You bastard, taste my lightning strike. Purple lightning crackled furiously as it bombarded the spirit wolf's position. The lightning dazzled their eyes. Snake-like bolts lashed across the area, completely surrounding the spirit wolf. The wolf smelled ozone in the air. It stomped heavily with its hind legs and smoothly leapt aside. In the next instant, the spot where the wolf had been standing was engulfed in lightning. A patch of scorched ground appeared immediately. Sparks of static jumped around its deep blue fur, but they posed no threat. The spirit wolf turned, its verdant eyes locking onto the lightning user. A woo! With its head raised high and its cavernous throat opened, a demonic wind erupted forth. The gust swept across the sands on the ground, lifting them into a thick storm. Shit! Is this still flying stones? Mo Fan exclaimed in shock. The first time he had seen flying stones, the grains of sand were like bullets, shooting at him in a spread that would leave countless holes in an ordinary person. But now, flying stones were unleashed by his own spirit wolf. The scale was more than double what he had seen before. It wasn't just stones, it was a sandstorm. Hurry up and scatter. Li Junwei's face changed instantly. Normally, flying stones could be avoided by rolling away quickly, especially at range. But this, covering nearly a fourth of the entire beast cage, gave them nowhere to run. They could only endure it. Li Junwei slammed both hands onto the ground, forcing himself to act through the shock. Earth wave. The ground rippled outward from where he stood, carrying Li Junwei and his lightning and fire comrades to opposite sides of the cage. Pimples, get behind me, he shouted. He knew he couldn't rely on the water girl to raise another water barrier in such a short time. The girl ran behind Li Junwei just as the storm hit. Sharp grains slashed painfully across his cheeks. Vine wall. Li Junwei activated his defensive magic equipment. An azure ray flashed, and black rattan vines sprouted in front of him. They intertwined rapidly, birthing thinner vines that reinforced the wall. The sandstorm finally died down, leaving only an ear-piercing howl. If not for the vine wall shielding Pimples and Li Junwei, their bodies would have been shredded to pieces. This student is not bad. Dean Xiao watched the dust-filled arena, his face showing a gratified smile. Zhou Zhenghua, the dean of the Earth School, also looked radiant. Just moments ago, Luo Song had brought great pride to the Earth Element students. Now, another, Li Junwei, demonstrated true cooperation between different elements, using Earth Ripple to move the vulnerable fire and lightning members to safety, then shielding himself and the water comrade with magic equipment. The Spirit Wolf's flying stones could have annihilated all four of them. Yet Li Junwei had prevented it. Too many primary Earth magicians nowadays didn't understand their role in battle. Li Junwei's display was a lesson. The earth element was the squad's core. By shaping the ground, they connected the team and gave flexibility. Too bad they've lost, Dean Seo added quietly. Dean Zhou Zhenghua was slightly stunned, his gaze locked on the dust-filled cage. The dust rose fast, and settled just as quickly. Li Junwei's actions were impressive, but before such formidable power, strategy and spells were meaningless. Within the yellow mist, a ferocious silhouette loomed in front of Li Junwei. Dark green eyes glowed only a meter away. Li Junwei and Pimples looked up. Both, who had just escaped the sandstorm, felt chilled to the bone. Pimples nearly fainted at the terrifying sight. Third stage burst, Li Junwei muttered in disbelief. He hadn't wanted to believe the spirit wolf was evolving. But now, he couldn't deny it. A spirit wolf that could unleash a third stage burst was already at the evolved stage, a vicious creature half a step into the warrior level. The 5 of them could handle a normal magical beast without issue. But facing a creature at the evolving stage, they were nothing but children, waiting to be slaughtered. Chapter End. Versatile Mage. Chapter 159. I Want It All. After the sand had dispersed, the entire audience saw an incredibly stunning scene. The spirit wolf that had vanished stood right in front of Li Junwei. Its forelimbs pressed against the vine wall, its head only a meter away from him. It signified that if the spirit wolf had even the slightest desire to kill, it could have easily snapped Li Junwei's head off with its fierce teeth. Come back, the summoner spoke at that moment. The spirit wolf obediently leapt down from the vine wall and returned to Mo Fan's side without even glancing at the challengers. Its slow steps, the haughty rise of its head, and the unsatisfied gleam in its eyes seemed to say, "Humans. Weak." Zhu Zhaoting, are you sure you haven't seen him in only a year? The girl sitting beside Zhu Zhaoting asked in disbelief. Zhu Zhaoting himself was dumbstruck. Is that person really Mo Fan? Even if Mo Fan had broken into the intermediate level soon after the destruction of Bo City, it still made no sense for him to cultivate his newly attained summoning element to this level in just a year. The spirit wolf before him had easily defeated Li Junwei's squad of 5, showing power far beyond an average magical beast. If their primary vanguard squad had encountered such a creature on the road, they would have been annihilated. I also don't know. He just always seems to become stronger, Zhu Zhaoting muttered, realizing he could not understand Mo Fan. The man was simply too unfathomable. Fuck, that spirit wolf has gotten even stronger. Luo Song, who had wanted to cause trouble for Mo Fan, cursed loudly. Originally, this spirit wolf was nothing worth fearing. His ice shackles had been enough to deal with it, but now the spirit wolf had reached the evolving stage. If Luo Song didn't devote his full attention to it, there was a real chance he could die in its jaws. Not to mention, its summoner Mo Fan also possessed intermediate lightning. It seems I'll have to seize the resources of my brothers and sisters, otherwise the difference will only grow larger. Luo Song thought grimly. The faster Mo Fan grew stronger, the more uneasy Luo Song felt. He had already lost once. He could not allow a second humiliation. Li Junwei and his comrades walked out of the iron cage with fallen spirits. This was not the result they wanted. They had hoped to at least defeat one summoned beast. Instead, they had been completely suppressed by an evolving stage spirit wolf. The feeling was unbearable. First, an intermediate magician had shocked all the students. Now, a spirit wolf at the evolving stage had crushed them. Pearl Institute truly was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Li Junwei didn't know what kind of laughingstock he appeared to be as he walked out of the beast battle cage, nor how Qin Xiaomiao would now see him. Mo Fan, you're way too cool. You made up for the numbers we were missing. The short and thin summoner student shouted excitedly from the stage. Zheng Bingshao also smiled with joy. This spirit wolf's strength was definitely no weaker than the Bone Corpse demon. If Mo Fan could keep defending against the challengers, then they would surely be able to hold onto their resources. Even Hai Dafu and Wang Liting, who disliked Mo Fan, silently put their hopes on him. Though their faces stayed cold, their hearts sighed in relief. "You guys are too optimistic," one summoner student said. "There are still nearly 50 more people before we reach 100. If each squad has 5, do you really think Mo Fan's Spirit Wolf can withstand 10 more waves of challenges? It seems unlikely. Damn it, it's all that annoying guy's fault. Just wait until I reach the intermediate level. I'll definitely take revenge." Mo Fan glanced back at the students of his same element. To be honest, if the resource issue had concerned the entire elemental department, he would have just left after finishing off 16 more challenges. But he was poor. He couldn't afford much. He had come to Pearl Institute precisely to squeeze resources from the teachers and the school. Since the Spirit Wolf's strength had increased exponentially, he might as well let it fight until it was satisfied. The wolf had survived a calamity and gained fortune. After that brutal battle, the Spirit Wolf had broken through into the evolving stage. This stage marked the transition from minion class to warrior class. A creature in this phase was vastly superior to minion class, though still far from a true warrior class beast. The beast refinement blood was extremely potent for evolving creatures. Conveniently, such blood could be earned through displaying excellence, though even that wouldn't be enough for the Spirit Wolf to step into the warrior class. It would still require vast resources. Dean Sio's words had been grand, stirring many hearts. But Mo Fan saw a crucial truth in them. The beast battle competition reflected the true lifestyle of Pearl Institute. Resources could be plundered. You could stand in the back, gazing weakly at others' brilliance. Or you could grit your teeth, grow stronger, and one day amaze the world, earning the attention of millions. The more you withdrew, the more you'd be forgotten. The more you fought, the more you'd bask in radiance. "Dean Sio, I have a question," Mo Fan called loudly when he saw the mass of challengers waiting at the exit. "Speak," Dean Sio answered promptly. "If our summoning school doesn't reach 100 people, then our resources are given to other elemental schools. Isn't that unfair? If we lose, we give up what's ours. If we win, all we do is keep what already belongs to us." Mo Fan asked boldly. Dean Sio smiled, his gaze sweeping across the other deans. "Mo Fan, that's a very good question. We have considered this. Once you reach 100, there will be another reward. If a summoning student can withstand the attack of 200 people, then all the resources that would have been distributed to the other schools will instead go to the summoning school," Dean Sio declared. The arena erupted into chaos. Everyone had thought failing meant punishment. None had known that succeeding beyond expectation meant unimaginable reward. If they defeated 200 challengers, the resources of all other schools, 10 elements, thousands of students, would belong solely to summoning. The summoning school had only 7 students. The other departments totaled over 4,000. The resources of 4,000, split between 7, that was paradise. The reason we didn't announce this rule is because no new student has ever been able to achieve it. Thus, it hardly mattered, Dean Sio explained with a gentle smile. "Dean, even I didn't know this," Zhou Zhenghua, the Earth Dean, admitted bitterly. The deans of the other elements looked at each other, equally shocked. "All right, I've answered your question. Do you have anything else to ask?" Dean Sio continued. "I don't have a question," Mo Fan replied, his face calm at first, then slowly curling into a smile. "But I do have a statement for the students of all elements." A statement. The 5,000 new students stared at the summoner, not knowing what to expect. "I consume far more resources than your average magician, so, I'm sorry," Mo Fan said, cupping his fist and bowing. "Your resources will belong to me." When Mo Fan raised his head again, the innocent mask was gone. In its place was a face of incredible arrogance. Chapter End. Versatile Mage. Chapter 160. Reason to be arrogant. The atmosphere seemed to have frozen. The expressions of 10,000 teachers and students from the whole school were frozen at this time, too. What kind of talk was this? This brat, Is he freaking crazy? Dean Seo mentioned it before. Not a single person had been able to pull this off in all of these years. How dare you, a small little summoner student, dare to be so arrogant? What right do you have to not put the 4,000 to 5,000 new students in your eyes? There were still many old students at the Azure campus. Among them were magicians who had already been at the campus for 3 or 4 years, and they were now staring at the new student who had provoked the entire school. This caused them to lose their senses for a long time. You want to act? Who can't do that? You should first take a look at the situation of your summoner school. You haven't even reached 50 people, and now you're telling me you're going to get to 200. You want to get rid of 150 people by yourself. The evolving stage Spirit Wolf is indeed very impressive. Its combat prowess is much higher than your average magical beast. However, it is simply impossible for you to defeat 150 challenges from other elements with just that. Damn. Did you have to be that arrogant? Not even I dared to say those words. Luo Song blurted out, his face extremely ugly. Originally, Luo Song was definitely going to be the main character of the day. There would have been many people revering him after the competition. In the end, Mo Fan's sentence directly provoking all of the elements in the school had caused Luo Song's actions today to seem like nothing. If it was possible to enter the arena for a second time, then Luo Song would be the first person to battle Mo Fan to death. Damn. I hate these kinds of people who believe they're unfathomable. So what if you have an evolving stage Spirit Wolf? Brothers, let's go, let's destroy it. A new student with a rather explosive temper stood up as he hurriedly rushed toward the iron cage. He really does not know his place. A couple of subtle eyes flashed with ridicule. Pearl Institute was definitely a place where hidden dragons and crouching tigers existed. Just minutes ago, Luo Song, an intermediate magician, had emerged. There would definitely be more people than Luo Song who had reached the intermediate level. There had been occasional intermediate magicians emerging among the new students in Pearl Institute in the past. They would naturally not participate in things like the Beast Battle competition. However, when a summoner student said things like that, did he really think those hidden experts would calmly let him fight with clowns and show off his prowess? Mo Fan stood in the middle of the arena and heard the swearing coming from all seats of the audience. There were more than 10,000 people in this battle area. No matter where he looked in this place, he was facing at least 1,000 people. Their voices were coming at him like thunder from all sides. It was an unprecedented feeling. However, since this was a decision he had made, Mo Fan would definitely fight each one of them until the very end. Tang Yu was not wrong. For someone like Mo Fan, who had an innate dual element, if he did not have a colossal amount of resources, then it'd be just like doing things half-assed and achieving nothing. If the little loach pendant hadn't absorbed the underground holy spring, then Mo Fan definitely would not be able to take care of all 4 of his elements. Even after he obtained such an exquisite treasure, Mo Fan still felt like he was incredibly poor. To use the Spirit Wolf as an example, the animal had already reached the evolving stage. Could he really let a summoned beast that was capable of reaching the warrior class remain stuck at that level? No. Then he would have to obtain resources that could allow the Spirit Wolf to successfully break into the warrior class. A small beast refinement blood was definitely not going to be enough. Doing things like this looked like he was being impulsive. However, there was such an incredible opportunity being laid in front of him. An opportunity that allowed him to take the resources of over 4,000 new students for himself. Was it even possible for him to not even attempt to strive for it, and let it slip by in front of him? If he lost, then he would at most have been cursed at a few times. You don't die from being cursed at, so who cared? If he won, then his bowl would be completely filled up. Perhaps even the disciples from those major families and other powers wouldn't be able to sit on any resources. Spirit Wolf, don't you love fighting? Today, the 2 of us will fight until we're satisfied. Come, give me all you got. Mo Fan's gaze swept past the vast crowd of people. The feeling of being surrounded by the gaze of 10,000s of people was just meh. I will go and beat him until his own mom won't recognize him. Make his spirit wolf into a soup. Damn, how dare he be more arrogant, wild, and shameless in front of me, Long Aoshan. Translator note: Long Aoshan's name in Chinese basically means the heavenly arrogant dragon. I'm the cure for all kinds of braggarts. A large crowd of students began to appear by the arena entrance. Mo Fan's words had instantly sent 5,000 or so new students into a rage. Perhaps there would still be many who were afraid of Mo Fan's evolving stage spirit wolf before, but now everyone wanted to rush to the stage. If not, then it would signify that their elements did not have a single strong person. Soon enough, 5 people entered the arena. Their faces were filled with anger. It was evident that they couldn't endure his words. They had seen those who stole resources. However, they'd never seen anyone who stole the resources of new students when they had only just been admitted. He must be tired of living. Humph, it's merely an evolving stage spirit wolf. It's not a warrior. Shit. Before Long Aoshan could finish his words, the spirit wolf burst out at fearsome speed. With a single swipe of his paw, he reached Long Aoshan and sent him flying. He had a piece of defensive magic equipment, but the force of impact still sent him flying over 5 meters away. After collapsing, he was no longer able to get up. His comrades watched all that in awe. When they were watching this from the audience, the spirit wolf's speed didn't seem this incredible. However, after facing it, its speed was actually more than just double. They really are a group of people with a temper. Mo Fan looked at these people, unable to help himself from thinking it was funny. I'm an intermediate magician, and that's why I dared to make this bet. You guys are like a bunch of fools compared to Li Junwei's squad, and yet you still dare to come up here and be a disgrace. The spirit wolf didn't mess around as it pursued the remaining people. If Mo Fan hadn't instructed the spirit wolf to be lenient from the beginning, then they wouldn't just lose their arms and legs. Who knew if their lives would still be intact? After sending those people off, the next wave quickly came forth. Mo Fan just stood there without moving. His spirit wolf could easily deal with the abundance of students who let their emotions take control of their actions. However, Mo Fan refused to believe that Pearl Institute only had trash. He was just waiting there, waiting for a true expert to appear. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.